Welcome back to 1 Acre at a Time, lifestyle living down under. This episode I'm going to be taking you through the establishment of an orchard. In establishing an orchard, I guess the first thing you need to consider is where you're going to put it on your property. And there's a few things to consider. First is space. Do you have enough space? And how many trees do you want? About 4 months ago, I planted 6 citrus trees here. They've done quite well, but the plan was always to add another 10 fruit trees. So that's what I've done. I needed to consider the sunlight. Trees need 8 to 10 hours of sunlight a day to really produce their best crop. So you need to pick a spot that's in the sun, and you also need to pick a spot that perhaps you'll keep an eye on. So I come out here, the chooks free range around this area, so I'm here morning, night and often throughout the day to keep an eye on the progress of the trees and also the ripening of the fruit. That's wishful thinking. Seeing this time of year, it's nearly midwinter here in Victoria, Australia, and the sun is lower in the northern sky as it tracks from east to west each day. That's a consideration also, because there could be shadows and things that'll impact on the amount of sunlight that your fruit trees get. It's something for you to consider. How many fruit trees do you need to have an orchard? Am I getting ahead of myself? I'm putting in 10 fruit trees, and I reckon that qualifies as an orchard. I think 5's probably enough. I've got 6 citrus trees, and I reckon that's a citrus grove. But you'll let me know in the comments if you think I'm getting ahead of myself. Earlier this week, I ventured out to the Wombat Gully plant farm in Geelong. And I want to give a special shout out actually to the staff there, particularly Olivia, who helped set me up with the fruit trees that I've been putting in during the week. You'll see them here. I bought them bare rooted. It's bare rooted season, which just means that the trees don't come in a pot with dirt. It's basically just the roots. They've been trimmed down, stored in sawdust. So you buy them like that. You do save a little bit of money, so maybe $10 to $15 a plant or a tree in this case. This time of year, so it's almost the middle of winter, you can get fruit trees bare rooted, you can get ornamental trees, roses, a whole range of things. The Wombat Gully plant farm, their prices are good, but what I like best is they have a big variety. If you want a particular sort of plum or a particular type of tree, they're going to have it there, most likely. And if not, they'll probably try and get it in. And the staff there, I guess we've all been to nurseries where the staff there can sort of make you feel a bit like a dummy if you don't know what you're talking about or you want to ask a couple of questions. And they never do that at Wombat Gully. Olivia in particular, she gave me tips and a few little tricks to try with these particular trees that I really appreciated, and I walked away feeling really confident that my trees are going to do well. So shout out to you guys. That's no plug, no freebies involved there. That's just me saying thanks, I guess, for the help, and I'll be going back there again for future purchases. Okay, so a lot of the success of planting plants of any kind, particularly fruit trees, is in the preparation of the soil. In this particular soil here, I've been preparing it over the last 3 or 4 months, I guess. I planned all this area out 6 or 7 months ago, and I knew exactly sort of where I wanted to plant the trees. So then I put these rings in. These are Corten steel rings. They're 770 by 150 high. I sourced them locally. I'll run through all the cost of this at the end of this video, so stay tuned for all the costs. I'll package it all together at the end and let you know how much it costs. But basically for the soil preparation, I've dug into this, into the existing soil, which, we're in a reasonably new estate, so it just used to be farmland. The soil was rather compacted and does contain some clay in this part of Victoria. So it's important that I added a lot of compost, manure to it. I added some horse manure. I actually got that for free locally, but I've also put in some chicken manure and some other compost, and I've topped it up with some commercial soil that I bought at a local hardware store as well. So I've dug it over. The chooks love it when I do this, but I'm going to dig in and just show you how rich this soil is that I'm going to be planting in today. If you hop out of the way, you'll see how easily that fork just goes into the ground as I turn it over. This particular plot here is pretty wet, and I'll cover that just in a moment. Oh, there goes another worm. Anyway, So that's pretty good, although it is really damp. This is the last tree actually that I'm planting in this little orchard that I've got here, because I was going to plant a pomegranate. They don't do well with wet feet at all. So I swapped it out for something that I think might be able to handle the water a little bit more, and that's a quince. So I've bought a quince. It's a champion variety. It's not going to be sitting in water all the time, it's just that we've had a fair bit of rain this week and you'll see a bit still laying around. So it is fairly damp. I've mounded it up, and I'll mound it up a little bit more when I plant it. I don't want it to get wet feet, but I think the quince variety will withstand the water much better than the pomegranate would have. So I've just swapped that out to a different location. Yep. When choosing the variety of fruit trees, there's something that you must consider. So some fruit trees are self-pollinating. So the quince, for example, self-pollinating. Just only need the one and it'll be fine. This one here is an apple. This particular one's a Granny Smith apple. When you get an apple tree, what you really need is 2 apple trees, unless you've got very kind neighbours that are fairly close. I have lovely neighbours, they're not so close, and I'm not sure if they have apple trees. So I bought 2. I've got a Granny Smith, and just over there I've got a Pink Lady. Now they go together very well. You'll find charts on the internet. You'll find them at your nurseries as well. They'll tell you which trees are going to match together for pollination reasons, because they need to flower at a similar time so that the bees can do their work. That way you'll get a good amount of fruit. Okay, so this one, Granny Smith, goes well over there with the Pink Lady. There's lots of varieties that work together. There's some that you wouldn't match up. I've done the same thing with the plums. I've got a couple of plums, Santa Rosa and a Mariposa. So I wanted dark plums, but I wanted one with a light flesh and one with a darker flesh. That's what I went with. Went with a couple of sorts of apples. Citrus, you don't need it, they'll be self-pollinating. A fig tree, self-pollinating, only need the one. Apricot, only need the one. But you need to really look into that. So when you're planting your fruit trees and you think, oh, I'll plant an apple tree, maybe you need to plant 2. Okay, so when you buy fruit trees or plants bare rooted at this time of the year in the winter, they'll come wrapped up. They come wrapped up like this from the nursery. And you'll see that it's actually, the roots are actually just in sawdust. So they're kept in sawdust and kept moist. Now you can see that they've been trimmed down a little, so I don't really need to do those. And the kind people at Wombat Gully Plant Farm also pruned this tree back for me as well, and that'll give it its best chance of doing well. What I'll do off camera is I'll just wash all this sawdust off. It needs to be cleared off completely, and then I'll get into the planting. Okay, so I've mixed a bit more soil in with this because it is pretty wet, wetter than I thought when I started digging into the hole. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and plant this. When you get these bare rooted trees, you can't keep them in the sawdust forever. You know, 2 or 3 days is what's recommended. Perhaps they could stay a little bit longer, I think, but 2 or 3 days is what they recommend. That's what I'm going to stick with. And actually, Wombat Gully Plant Farm, if you keep the receipts, within 6 months, if they don't survive, you might be able to make some sort of a claim. It's not a fixed guarantee, but they will look after you, I reckon, if you keep the receipts and you plant them according to the information sheet they give you when you buy them. So one of the other things that it does say on there, a little bit about soil preparation, but you need to put them in at the correct depth. Now that's interesting. You need to cover the roots, obviously, but these are grafted, and you'll see the graft is right here. You don't want to put the dirt above the graft, so it needs to be somewhere between the graft and just enough to cover the roots. Obviously I want it fairly centered in my ring, and I want it fairly straight, so they're considerations also. Got a few helpers today, probably more hindrance than help, but anyway, it's sort of nice. If you're going to have chooks, you may as well have friendly ones. I haven't jammed that in. I tried not to disrupt the roots too much. Even though it is fairly damp, I will give it a water in. I'll use some sea salt as a solution on top just to water that in, give it the best chance of surviving. I've mounded it up there, covered the roots, left the graft exposed. I reckon that's about the right depth and just firm enough. To make sure it stays in that position, I do have a couple of ties here. These are jolly tree ties. They're like a stretchy material, and I reckon I find them pretty good, so I'll just tie them off. With this here, you don't want it to be so tight. The good thing about this jolly tree tie stuff is that it does allow the tree a little bit of movement, and movement is good because it helps encourage the roots to actually grow down and provide the tree with stability. So you don't want it, that tight that the tree can't move and wobble a little bit. I've positioned just 2 stakes on these. These are star pickets. They were 1800 high, so I've hit them in. I'm just using 2. You could stake it 3 ways if you like to give it a bit more stability. I've taken into consideration the prevailing winds that usually come from the south and southwest for here, so I've put these east-west so that this tree is going to get plenty of stability. Don't want it so tight that you're going to ring bark it, but you need it tight enough so it's not going to wobble around. And I'll check these, they'll loosen off a little bit anyway. They are biodegradable. I'll take the tag off. I don't want it up here. I'm just going to pop it down onto the stake. These have a habit of blowing away. So one of the things I like to do is take a photo of it and also match it with a plan I have of where the fruit trees are. So even if it does blow away, I'm going to refer back to my plan, which I'll just have on my phone. I'll have the photo there of the variety, and I'll also have the location. Obviously, once it starts growing, you'll know what it is. But for now, it's just nice to be able to come and say, quince, righto, champion variety. Okay, one final thing I like to do is I've just cut a little bit of chicken wire. This is really light gauge chicken wire. But what it's good for here is stopping the chooks from getting in and digging all this dirt out. You would have seen before, they love to get in here, they love the worms, and they love to, if it was drier, they use it as a bit of a dust bath. They think it's great. And whilst I love the chooks free ranging around, it's fabulous, I don't want them to disturb the fruit trees. They're a fair investment, fruit trees. There's a reason why not everybody grows them, and I guess it comes down to return on investment. I'll run through real quickly the cost of getting this quince tree in the ground in this setup as I have it here. I'll start with the ring that I mentioned earlier. They're 770 by 150 high. I sourced them locally from a provider who's got a bit of a side hustle. He makes them up. They cost about $35 each I got them for, which I reckon is a bargain. They're not a super strong gauge, but they're going to do the job. They'll stay here as long as I need them to. And what I like about them is that they're not fixed, so they're not welded together into a ring. They actually screw together. So if I need to remove it at any stage, or if I buy them and put them around an existing tree, I can just undo it, wrap it around, screw it back together, then I've got my tree ring. So about $35 thereabouts. Let's say 40 for the ring. These posts, you can get 10 of them for $100. So $10 each, so there's another $20. So 40, 20 is 60. The tree itself, bare rooted this time of year, $40. So we're up to $100 so far. And I think that that's probably a $10 to $15 saving on what you'd buy this tree for if it was in a pot. That's just a bit of a guess. So $100, I've put a bit of extra soil on here, commercial soil and some compost that I bought also at the hardware store. So probably $15, $20 worth of soil on top of it, and a few sundries like the ties, the wire, and some sea salt. I reckon I'm up to about $120, $125 a tree, okay? So I've put in 10 of these, so you can see the price is, it does escalate, so it's a significant investment in your lifestyle property, and it will take a while to get return on investment because I'm not going to get quinces off this, for a few years. So I reckon it's a long-term commitment. They take a little bit of pruning, they take a little bit of fertilising along the way. So before you decide, yes, I'm going to have an orchard, have a think about those things. But if you do want to go ahead, I hope I've been able to provide you with a few tips to get you started. Thanks for watching this episode of 1 Acre at a Time Lifestyle Living Down Under. Hope you've enjoyed the content that we've provided. If you have, please like, subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram. That will really encourage us to keep uploading further content.